Neil Funk, Jimmy G, buckets, gets buckets. Oh my goodness, give me the hot sauce, Neil Funk, give me the hot sauce.
What are you doing, Dragic? Did you not get the memo? Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
Time for a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that Timmy Whispers has changed quite a bit. He's got a lot bigger and stronger and much better looking. We got a special guest in studio today. James Big Cat Williams, former Chicago Bears star, is here, kind enough to join us in the Sriracha studios. Big Cat, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm kind of anxious to try some of this hot sauce.
Yeah, we got some for
see
you.
what we got going on here.
It's award-winning. It's award-winning right now. It's the hottest thing in Chicago, people.
You know, we always talk about Stacey and the Golden Pipes, but this guy, Big Cat, you could have been doing voiceover work. You know, whenever I hear your voice, I think, you remember the guy that does the Allstate commercials, Dennis Haysbert?
Oh, yeah.
You sound almost have you done any voiceover work?
Is it too late for me to get started?
Hey, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Right? Yeah, right.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Hey, I'd take it, man. If you know anybody that has any voiceover stuff
Right.
that would be interested, I'm down.
So if you're out there listening, Bulls Nation, anybody who wants somebody with a deep voice, with a baritone voice, call this man Big Cat Williams right here. He will be your voiceover. He'll voice over anything. Mickey Mouse, Casper the Ghost, whatever you want.
Hey, let's not go too far. Let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. That could end up in some odd places.
Yeah, it could
right?
be in some really, really odd places.
Yes.
Yeah, James, every show we do a segment at the end where we talk about things we're watching on TV. And a lot of these streaming services, they have like old series. So I was watching the old 24 series, the Jack Bauer thing.
Yeah.
So they had Dennis Haysbert plays the president,
Right.
you know, in the first few seasons until they shot him down, which was pretty cold. But that's what made me think. I'm like, we got Big Cat on, man. You could have done that part.
Yeah, I would. Hey, I wouldn't mind acting like a president for a little while. There's a lot of things I'd
perks are
change.
good.
But,
Yeah, there'd be a lot of things you would probably have to change. It's but no, he's always had a deep voice.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can hear him a mile away coming. Hey, Stacey. Okay, where's he at? He's somewhere around here somewhere. What up, boy? Like just a baritone voice, and that I always like. I mean, he's always been like a happy guy. You never see him upset about anything. Just always had a smile on his face, always jovial. That's how I remember him.
I wish you tell a lot of other people that, man.
Why? They think you mean?
Yeah, man. I don't know what the problem is, man.
No, he never. You listen. There's some guys you can look at their face and they're unapproachable. Ex-athletes, They're unapproachable. You can just tell by their face, they got a scowl on their face. They might be really nice guys, but they have that look like, don't mess with me, don't bother me, don't ask me for anything. Okay, but this guy never has that look. He has an engaging look.
I'm just a nice guy.
I think it's his voice, though. I think his voice. I think the booming voice scares people.
Come on,
you know
what it is. Don't act like that. You know what it is. I'm big. I'm black.
Hey,
you know what
I didn't want to go there.
You know what it is.
I didn't want to go there, America. But he may have a point there.
I'll tell you what, though, speaking as a member of the media, James was always approachable. He was at his locker during practice days and after games, and he would always be willing to talk to the media. One guy who scared us, though, in the media was Olin Kreutz, because you never knew what kind of version of Olin Kreutz you were going to get. How was he with the guys? Because he was just fearsome to some media and fans.
Well, you were always going to get the truth with Olin.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. You know,
right.
You're going to get the truth. And the thing is, can you handle the truth?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Some people can't handle it.
Yeah, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. And, expect to be told the truth.
And Olin was one of those guys that, a lot of athletes will say, I don't read newspapers. I don't listen to what they say on talk radio. Olin knew what everybody said, what everybody wrote. And if he didn't like something, you'd walk in that locker room, he would call you out as you're walking through the door. That was a scary feeling.
Very smart guy.
Yeah.
Very smart guy. And is a student of the craft. Not only what it takes to play the game, but what it takes to stay in the game. Right now, he's a trainer, and basically he is very knowledgeable about the people that he associates with, about the people that he takes advice from, So sitting down and listening to a guy like that is very beneficial. You know,
He's got a couple of sons that play football too, right?
yeah,
At U of
yeah.
I.
Josh and James are at U and I. Both of them doing well. You know, it's he is very good at what he does, and you know, you can look at him however you want. It doesn't matter. You know, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants to get accomplished, and he gets it done.
Yeah, I always remembered him as being like a guy that stood on 10 toes. Like, he stood on his convictions. If he said something, it was the truth. And if he didn't like what you said, you'd liable to get a two-piece.
Yeah.
Like, you always read news. Olin Kreutz fighting somebody in practice. He's fighting. I'm like, who the hell is this Olin Kreutz guy? And then you look at him, he's like, God, he must be like a mean little sucker because he's not very big, like not tall guy. You think he'd be like this huge guy. And I was just like, wow, this guy, you always hear about him fighting in practice or they show it on TV. He's fighting somebody in practice all the time.
Yeah.
It's football, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but your own teammates. Your own teammates every day. Come on now.
That's football. I mean, certain individuals you hear about a little more, but I mean that goes on every day in that type of an atmosphere. I mean, we are taught and bred to go after people. That's what we do every day in practice. That's what you do. That's what you watch on film. That's when you talk about the great ones. You're talking about guys that weren't afraid to speak their mind and weren't afraid to demonstrate their dominance on the field. And he has both of those traits. The bigger you are, the more excited he is about playing against you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, the common reaction is, wow, it's like the old roller house thing. Wow, I thought you'd be bigger.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be any bigger.
No.
So,
Well, you came into the league as a defensive lineman, and then they convinced you to switch over to the other side. How difficult was that?
Convinced me. They told me.
They told you. now
there
you,
was no convincing.
now you came in at the end of the Ditka era. Is
Yes.
that accurate?
Yeah, I was 2 seasons under Ditka.
And what was that like playing for the coach? Because at the end, that was the remnants of the '85 team. Some of the guys were still there, especially some of the offensive linemen stayed for a long time. Guys like Thayer and Van Horn were there for a long time.
Yes.
But you were a defensive lineman, and how was that all come up that they wanted you to switch?
Well, one of the reasons why I went to the Bears was because they were an aging defensive line. You had Richard Dent, you had Fridge, you had McMichaels. The only young guy that was starting on the line was Trace Armstrong at the time. And then they had USC's Tim Ryan, who was the rotational guy. So, in my opinion, being a free agent, having the choice between a couple teams, Chicago was the best choice for me because I figured I could come in and learn. Who better to learn from than Richard Dent, Fridge, McMichael, Singletary's at the middle linebacker. Chico was still here. Dennis Gentry, like you said, Van Horn, Jay Hilgenberg, Tom Thayer, Mark Bortz. All these guys off the Super Bowl team were still here. And, I figured that was a great opportunity for me to learn. Now, when I got here, I had no clue to what I was stepping into. It was, coming from a small college and going to Lake Forest College for my first visit. It was interesting because Lake Forest College weight room wasn't much better than our weight room at Cheney State.
Right.
Wow.
So it was, it's not the NFL that you see now. You walk in, there's a little weight room with Clyde Emmerich telling everybody what to do.
Yeah.
And right off of that was our training room. And I mean, when I say right off of that, you were going to trip over people going into the training room trying to get out of the weight room.
Yeah, that facility was terrible. The old Hallis Hall. There was no room.
It was
at all.
interesting,
Yeah.
man.
Really?
Yeah.
A professional?
Tiny.
A professional?
Yeah.
No kidding.
All the rookies.
I would have thought being in the NFL, because I know Oklahoma, you go to Oklahoma's weight room, it's like, it's the state of the art. And that was in the 80s. It's even bigger now. And you're telling me that the Chicago Bears was using Lake Forest College's facilities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then when we had to, on rain days, snow days, we had to drive to our bubble, which was in North Chicago.
Which might blow away in a windstorm.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Hey, yes. Sat
Really?
right on the corner of 41 and Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
I think.
Now
That's
you'd
what
be
it
hitting
was.
golf balls in there, you know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know, like I said, I didn't choose to switch.
Yeah.
I was switched. You know, I came into my locker one day and there was a blue folder in my locker. I'm like, T-Man, you know, you gave me the wrong game plan
Yeah.
and the wrong jersey. He just smiled and said, you might want to go see Coach. You know, so I went up there. We had the conversation. We're going to put you at offensive tackle and see how it works out. And it worked out.
Yeah, you went on to have a great career, but the learning curve must have been tough because as a defensive lineman, you're on the attack all the time. On the offensive line, you are attacking somewhat, but you got to make sure that you're be able to backpedal and protect your quarterback.
Yeah, but that was one of the things that the older guys harped on me about when I first moved over, because I ended up playing tackle for Van Horn when he got hurt in practice. And that's where it all started. And once they moved me, all the defensive guys, one after another, came up to me and were like, the same intensity you have on defense, you have to carry over to offense.
Okay.
You know, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And I was a guy, when I first got here, I didn't know how to practice. You know, I came from a little Division II school, and, you know, I remember the first little camp we were in, and, you know, they said to repeat. I was like, okay. So I repeated at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Everybody else was going about 30. You know, I had no concept of, you know, this is a repeat play. We're just going through it to go
That'll
over
piss off the vets, won't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
They think you're trying to show them up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that don't get me wrong, I don't know if I'd have changed anything, because that was my advantage coming from a small school.
Yeah.
Was me being able to come off the ball, be aggressive at all points in time. And I knew that was going to be the only way that I made the team. So I really didn't care about what you thought about me in practice.
Yeah, because you're coming from a small school. Even if you came from a big school, you realize when you come to the pro team, you want to make a mark. You want to let everybody know I'm here. Like, I'm not no pushover. Because I was the same way. I when I came here from Oklahoma, I'm flying all over the place. And I remember Bill Cartwright, we were doing drills and we were doing wing denial. And he would pop out on the wing and I would be having to guard him and deny the ball.
Yeah.
And I would steal it every single time. And he told me, he said, hey, let me tell you something. You do that again, I got something for you. And I'm like, you know, of course I can't back down. Right. I'm like, you ain't got nothing for me, old man. You just get the ball. I'm just doing the drill. You get the ball. So we back and forth. I got something for you. Do this shit again. So I'm like, okay, watch this. So he gets ready to do it again. You ready to pop out again? And as I'm running out to go get the steal, he stuck his elbow right in my Adam's apple. I don't even have an Adam's apple to this day. It's crushed. It's applesauce. He hit me in my throat so bad, I fell on the ground. I was out for like about 30 minutes. And he said, see, I got something for you. I told you to do that shit again. I was going to get you, didn't I? I was just like, you mother. But that's how it is, though. That's how it is, you know.
It's different, man. I mean, walking into a pro locker room, you know, you come in with accolades, All-American, All-Conference, 4 years,
Means
this
nothing.
and that. Everybody in there is that.
Yeah. Or more.
And at a higher level.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's, you know, I left back for school after that 3-day camp, and I had Keith Van Horn's handprint in my chest from trying to use a move that I used in college that wasn't going to work on a pro level. And he let me know, you're not going to be able to swim on this level.
Yeah.
And that's crazy you say that, because it's the same way in basketball. Like, when I came out of Oklahoma, I had a sweet turnaround jumper. No one in college basketball could block it. Not one person. I get in here, I get into the first preseason game, and Patrick Ewing threw that shot to the third row like 3 times in a row. And I kept going back at him because I'm like, oh, no, this is, maybe I slipped. Maybe maybe I need to move up the block a little bit. And he 3 times in a row threw it into the stands. I'm like, I never in my life saw that. It was a humbling experience.
Yeah.
Because now you
really
got to
is.
think about what counters do I have now? I got to go work on something else because this dude obviously knows it, and I'm not going to beat him. So it's funny you say that because it's the same way in all sports probably.
Yeah, it's a humbling experience coming in as a young guy and thinking you have it all together and then realizing you don't.
Yeah.
Realizing you don't know half of what you thought you knew. So I mean, but it was great for me because, like I said, I had a lot of guys that when I first got here, Richard took me under his wing and showed me how to do it. And then once I got moved over to offense, I had Keith Van Horn, who was a guy that, at that point in time in football, or at least from what I got to understand, was everybody understood that this is a team sport. And if you make this team, we're going to need you to win. So it wasn't about not teaching you things. They were willing to teach everything they knew because it wasn't about me trying to come in and take their position. It was about me getting better so that I could help the team win. And, I think that's something that gets lost every once in a while. The more I watch the game and the more I talk to people, I'll teach him this, but I won't teach him that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want him to come take my spot. Well, you need him to be the best that he can be so that you all can go on to, what you're striving for.
That's another interesting thing because you sit here and watch the game, you play the game at the highest level, and now you sit back as a fan. You sit back and you watch Sunday football. What changes have been made that you can noticeably see in the game, whether it be the physical part of the game with the players or just the game in general? What changes have you seen that you go, I don't know if I really like that. I would like to see him go back to when we played.
Well, see, now I'm going to sound like the get off my lawn.
Yeah, me too. I'm like that too, Big Cat. I'm like that too.
I'm the get off the lawn
guy
me too. Because you don't have, we grew up in an era where we had two-a-days in full gear every day for 3 weeks. And now they can't go back-to-back practices full gear, hitting each other. As an offensive lineman, when do I have the opportunity to work on my craft?
Right.
You're asking me to do the most unnatural thing in the world. You're asking a 300-pound man to move backwards and try and block another 300-pound man that's trying to get to a guy that he can't see, that you're just guessing where he's at. Not that you're just guessing. You should know where he's at, but he's not always where he's supposed to.
Right.
And it's like the most unnatural. That was, other than getting into a stance, trying to understand that was probably the hardest thing from moving from defense to offense. And the playbook, because the playbook looked like, you got a defensive playbook and a couple lines, couple words. All right, this is where I got to go. You get an offensive playbook, it's a lot more words. So it was, at first it was like, trying to read Japanese. I was like, man, there's a lot going on in here. This playbook is a lot thicker. All right, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of studying, a lot of, trying to figure out how to move backwards and keep this very angry man from getting to the person that he's trying to get to.
You played for some good teams with the Bears, some not so good, and probably a lot of quarterbacks. And surprise, surprise, the Bears are about to draft another quarterback. Yeah. What is it about Chicago and the Bears that they cannot find and develop a top-flight NFL quarterback?
I don't know. Yeah. I really do not have a good answer for you. When you look back at some of the selections while I was there, Jim Miller was a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Just needed to keep him healthy. Eric Kramer was good. Got to keep him healthy. We had periods and times where
Cade McNown.
Yeah, he was a quarterback.
And he was a high drafted quarterback,
Yeah,
too.
He's very. You know what? It's funny because Cade McNown was supposed to be my payday
Yeah.
because he was a lefty.
Yeah.
You know, which now puts me on the backside.
Yeah.
So for him not to work out, I got a lot of harsh.
man.
I got a lot of grudges.
Yeah, a lot of salt. A lot of salt.
A lot of salt about that.
Salt
Right.
about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's you listen to what's going on now with Fields leaving and the people that supported Fields talking, Caleb coming in, the people that want to see Caleb do well, but felt like Justin wasn't given a good chance. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this almost has to work out.
Yeah, it has to.
It has to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they've put themselves in a interesting situation with trading the first round pick last year and seeing what that quarterback was able to do for the Texans.
Yeah. But they would have taken Bryce Young, and he didn't do that well with Carolina because they're a bad team.
Right.
And he would have
And
probably had
he's
the
very
same.
short, too.
He probably had the same situation here with the
Yeah.
line having problems protecting him.
Yeah.
Plus he's a little dude.
Now you're potentially bringing Caleb Williams in.
Right.
You've got some wide receivers for him to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
You brought in a running back for him to throw to and should be able to run the ball well. Another tight end to pair with Komet. You're starting to put it all together. You've got to figure out the line situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You like the kid they drafted last year, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I do. I do. I mean, he played well, but he also did some things like a rookie.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very interesting year for him. This is going to be his first year with no buddy in his ear the entire time. It was college football, get ready for the draft. Draft is here. Now you're into your first year of pros. First year of pros is done. Now you have until about this point in time right here where you're on your own. You're not at the facility working out. You're doing your own thing. You're going back home to work out. You're going back up to your college to work out. How does that go for him? And will we see improvement this year? Or does it take a couple games into the season for him to improve?
What about the other tackle, Braxton Jones?
I like Braxton.
Yeah.
I like Braxton. I don't pass up a blue chip at left tackle at the 9th pick if he's there, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Is Braxton good enough to not even is he good enough? The competition will be there. But if you draft that guy at number 9, you're expecting him to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then does it become, is Braxton a swing tackle? Is Braxton a guard? There are a lot of questions that have to be answered because you have a good guard in Tevin Jenkins, but can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field?
Right.
You bring in Nate Davis. Can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? Can he, is he going to be there for you? And I don't know what they're doing at center.
Yeah, they signed a couple of free agents, but both of them backup types.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing at center.
Well, yeah, I'm still disappointed in the field situation because I felt like, that they've gone out their way to make sure that if it's Caleb Williams at the number 1 pick, that it's an easier transition for him to come in his first year than what they did for Justin Fields.
Yes.
And I felt like with the number 1 pick, you could trade that pick because somebody wanted him bad. They wanted Caleb Williams bad. I think they've come out and saw what they were going to give the Bears for Caleb Williams. And I think the Bears are right there. I mean, they won 7 games last year, but they easily could have won 10. Okay. You got a quarterback, you got him some weapons now. You got a running back to take some pressure off him in the backfield. You're not saying the Bears running backs were bad last year. I thought they were good. I just didn't think the offensive coordinator called enough plays for them to keep the defense honest.
But see, that's the question. You know, is it the offensive coordinator or is it the quarterback?
It's the offensive coordinator, I believe, because this man throws more screen passes. I don't even throw that many screen passes on Madden. He throws screen passes when it's 1st and 10 or 3rd and 20. He's throwing screen passes.
A lot of horizontal.
And they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're behind the line of scrimmage. So it's like, come on, man.
I'm not arguing for either one of them, but what if he wasn't able to call him?
But we don't know that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know
That's
that.
what I'm saying. We don't know.
Because
But you've gotten rid of both of them.
but here
They're both gone.
Right.
but my thing is, this kid has had 3 offensive coordinators, a couple of coaches.
Oh, it was not the ideal situation.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
See, when you get a kid like that with that kind of running ability, a dual threat quarterback, when he was behind Andy Dalton, okay, you should have had some kind of packages for him. So if he had to come in the game, Big Cat, we got something for him because he's not a drop back passer. He can't run Andy Dalton's playbook. So you had, like when they had Cordell Stewart in Pittsburgh, they had a package for him. Right. When Lamar Jackson came in, they had a package for him compared to what someone else was in front of him doing. So why wouldn't the offensive coordinator have some kind of small package that when he came in the game, he was ready to go? He could run those specific plays and be able to execute and have success at it.
Yeah, but see, now you're not talking about Getsy anymore.
No, he's gone. And they got a legit.
But I'm saying, what you're talking about, Getsy wasn't the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that was
we're talking about over a period of time, no one did for that young man what we all thought should have been done.
Yeah.
But also, as a quarterback, there are certain things that you need to be able to do. There are certain things that you need to be able to recognize. When I'm watching TV and from the TV copy before the ball snaps, I can see a safety creeping up.
Yeah.
And he never sees him. Yeah. And gets blindsided and fumbles the football. Can't blame that on the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are certain things that you look at and you say, by the end of his 3rd year, he should have been able to do these things.
I agree.
And on a consistent basis, he was not able to do those things.
I agree.
You know, so we can blame it on the coaching. But at what time does it not become the coaches and become the player?
I agree.
You know what I mean? You go out there and you know you have a job to do. You're going to do it to the best of your ability. If you go out there and you find out that, okay, I just got dunked on because I missed a read, it's nobody's fault but my own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many times can this happen over and over again before somebody says, come on, take a seat next to me? You know, let's see if we can figure this out. Because if we can't figure this out, I can't use you. You're a detriment to my team.
So my question to you is, how can a kid go from being in a top program, like Ohio State was in Georgia first, and no one know this? And he had good coaching in college. Like, did they just make the play so simplistic where it was just like you're playing backyard football? Hey, all right, hit the first open man you see, look deep first. If he's not there, then hit the underneath man. I mean, because the NFL is to play quarterback is a tough job, okay?
Yes.
It's a tough job. There's so many things, the pre-reads, the coverages, you got to know where everything is going on. How did he get this far and not know how to pick up a safety blitz? And you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think we just talked about this about 10 minutes ago. In college, there are things that you can do that you can't do in the pros. As a college quarterback, I can be a little late on that out route, because that cornerback's not going to get there anyway. In the pros,
It gets there.
every cornerback's going to get there. You know what I mean? So it's a different beast. The things that you're seeing on a college level, as far as there might be 2 guys on that defense that I have to worry about that can be game changers. On Sunday, all 11 guys have the possibility to be a game changer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're looking at, just talking about what the Bears are going through now. We're looking at a team right now with the possibility of having a very good offense for the pieces they put in. Keenan Allen, Moore, the tight end, Edwards, the running back, Swift. You're teamed up with, Komet. And you're looking at the possibility of a very good offense. Right now on paper, I heard somebody say that, actually, I heard Olin say it. They look like a great 7-on-7 team.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll see how good the line is going to be. That's the key.
You've got to get it all together.
Yeah.
And once you get it all together, now you can figure out what you have, what you don't have. But I just think they're going in a little behind the 8 ball without solidifying their own line. And it's possible they're going to do it in the draft.
And that's where I'm concerned, because you just can't. It's like having a dam with holes in it. You just are putting fingers in trying to stop the dam. The most, especially for a young quarterback, that kid does not. Whether it's Caleb Williams or whoever, even Justin Fields, that kid should not be running for his life every single time he snaps the ball.
Right.
He should not be getting 60 sacks on him and tearing his confidence down where he's not going to reach his potential.
But once again, how many of those sacks are because the O-line did something wrong? Or how many of those sacks are because he didn't see something and turn the line? Or he didn't realize that he was responsible for the free guy and get rid of the ball? How many maybe it was the back's responsibility to pick that guy up and he didn't? You can't blame all the sacks on the O-line.
Yeah. No.
There are other things that go on that come into it. So, I mean, even if we broke it down and we said 50-50, half was the O-line's fault, half was his fault, that's still too
That's
many.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they'll address the center? Because didn't they get a free agent for the center?
They signed a couple of guys, but
They
both of
signed
them
2
were,
guys.
they have some starts, but mostly backup.
That was an area too they needed to address.
Oh yeah, you're signing $2 million athletes to $10 million positions.
So you're cutting corners, basically. I can say it.
Well,
They're cutting corners.
there is a salary cap.
Yeah, there is a
Yeah,
salary
there
cap.
is.
There's
There
a salary
is.
cap. But listen, I know in the NBA, teams, the good teams, the teams that are winning, they look at what they need. Okay, Jerry Krause was, as much as people hated Jerry Krause was the best at this. He took his core group of guys that he's going to build around. These are my 7. And then the next 6 players will be specialty players. I need a 3-point shooter. I need a big wing. I need a big guard. And he would address the issues that way. And they still do it to this day. The good teams do it to this day. They keep their core group and they go out and get what they need. How the NFL, because of the salary cap, they're very restricted on doing that. So they have to almost say, well, I guess we can go to the dollar store and we can get this guy here for cheap. Oh, man.
Yeah, but
You got to protect our quarterback for the next 10 years.
But the difference is, you're talking about a Bears organization that in the past has put all their money into the defense.
Yes.
And the defenses have been pretty damn good.
Yeah.
What happens if you put that money into the offense?
You're going to have the same result. You're going to have a damn good offense. And the league is all about scoring anyway now. It's great to have a good defense, but teams are putting up, 35, 40 points every Sunday. And, to compete with that, you better be able to move the football.
So you better put some money.
You better put some money on the
You
offensive
better,
side.
hey,
Exactly.
you better put some money over there.
It's not rock science because the Bears are always going to have a good defense. They've always had, even over the last like 10 years, they've had really good, solid
They
defense.
paid people.
Yeah.
Who have they paid on offense? Over that last 10-year period that you're talking about. I mean, other than, like bringing a Jay Cutler in.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe
like
one
that.
guy. They'll pay one guy. And that's it.
But now start naming the people on defense that have been paid.
Yeah, well, it's not, yeah. Well, who changed? Okay, so who is it? Poles that changed the philosophy of this?
Yeah,
Because
this is Poles'
this is
baby
Poles'
now.
thing.
This is
So
Poles'
Poles
baby.
is saying we're going to balance this out a little bit.
He cleaned everything out when he got rid of Roquan and Khalil Mack and all those guys are gone, and it's rebuild time. So he goes out, he gets a couple players that he wants. You see Brisker, you see these young guys that are coming in and they're playing. And that's what you're looking for. He's trying to not only build a good base, but build a core to go around it. Now, I mean, it's going to be a couple years before we know whether all this works out. But, I mean, other than not getting, and I mean, it's not that he hasn't worked on the offensive line, but, I think that the two lines are going to be where he has to make his hay at some point in time. The offensive and the defensive line.
Because he's a former offensive lineman, so you would think,
right,
like this is my forte here.
This is what I've got to get done.
I got to get this one first,
and then I can build around it. Hence, like a team like Detroit. Detroit has 3 first rounders on their starting offensive line.
Yeah,
and they're a beast.
And every one of their rookies played last year. They drafted really, really well.
Yeah. But you look at the Bears, and last year, everybody they drafted played.
And it helps because those guys are on rookie contracts, which helps your salary cap.
Yes.
If the young guys play, you can spend money at other positions.
Another reason to get rid of Fields.
Right, because he was due a big payday if he was going to stay.
And for what he gave you, could you justify giving him $40 million?
Right. Which is the going rate for an NFL quarterback, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Right.
It's in. I mean, I'm like I said. Listen, I want the Bears to win.
Yeah.
Okay, I want the Bears to win. I'm tired of listening to other people in other cities down talk trash about them. The Bears suck. I'm like, oh my god, oh my, I got to hear it everywhere. So my big thing is with this team is that I think they'll be better offensively. If they won 7 games last year and there was at least 3 or 4 they left on the board that they could have won, if they come in with even a better offense than they had last year, which they do,
right,
at all the key areas where you need to be good at, they're good at now. And this quarterback can come in as a rookie and do what he's capable of doing, then you're looking at offense that could be one of the better offenses in the NFL, at least in the division. But it depends on the line, though.
The kid in Green Bay's still pretty good, too.
You've got to catch up. Because right now, Detroit's ahead of you. Detroit's ahead of you.
Yes.
Green Bay's ahead of you.
The only one is Minnesota's behind you.
Yeah.
Minnesota's kind of...
they lost Cousins.
Depending on who they got coming in at quarterback.
At quarterback, right.
But they're behind. I would say they're behind the Bears. And I still think the Bears, like I said last year, should have won at least 10 games. 9, but at least 10. Because they left some games on the board. And their defense, hey, listen, at the end of the day, you got to stop people. You got to stop people.
Yeah.
Game-winning drives, you got to stop people.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson came in here, should have won that game.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. We'll find out in a couple of years whether they've done this the right way.
Yeah.
Because as much as you talk about bringing Sweat in and how much of a difference he made on that defensive line, Baltimore saying the same thing about Roquan.
Yeah.
Right.
Every down linebacker.
A player that you got rid of.
Yeah. Mack was still productive.
Had 8 sacks this past season?
See, before Sweat came, and we were talking to our Bears insider, Mark Grody, the Bears only could put pressure, let's say blitzed. They had to blitz safeties and quarterbacks just to get any kind of pressure on the quarterback because the front line could not get any pressure on the quarterback. And the guys are sitting back there just picking the Bears apart. And then once Sweat came, all of a sudden it just changed the whole dynamics of their defense because they were able to get pressure with one guy, and that changed the whole look of their defense.
Yeah, but I think you also saw Edwards start to play better. You saw Edmonds start to play better. You know, whether it was them just getting comfortable in the scheme, it just all seemed to time out perfectly. Now, can you put that other defensive end, other edge rusher at the other side, which now really gives you some options? That's the question. You know, you hear people talk about they want to trade the number 9 pick to get more picks. You need those blue chip players, right?
Yeah,
You know
I agree.
what I mean? So in my opinion, I'm not giving away 9 when I can hopefully, because we don't know who's going to be on the board.
Someone may slip.
We don't know. You know, you have all these teams that want quarterback. You've got 4 quarterbacks that are wanted, and you've got 3 top wide receivers that are wanted, as well as Alt as an offensive lineman. What's the kid's name that plays defensive end? I forget. There's a defensive end out there that everybody wants.
Dallas Turner from Alabama is the kid
Yeah.
that's talked about top 10.
I mean, who falls to 9? And if none of the guys that are extremely high, somebody on your board is going to fall to 9.
Yeah.
And if nobody on your board falls to 9, what kind of trade are you willing to make to get something later on in the first round and possibly something in the second, third? Because, I mean, it's got to be a pretty good pick in the second or third round in order for you to make that trade, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What do you need the most?
Yeah, it's a decision they're going to have to make.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Cat, before we let you go, tell us about what's going on with your family and stuff. You just got back from Kentucky, and you still living in Lake Forest. You see some of your old teammates?
Yeah, I see a few of them every once in a while. You know, I see Olin because I work out at his gym. So I see him quite a bit. I see Mark Carrier every once in a while because he's up at Loyola. I coach with Ahmad. See J Mac every once in a while. So I see a couple of the guys. You know, I coach at Lake Forest High School. I went over there when my son was a senior and started coaching over there. And like I said, my daughter's a senior now. So, you know, trying to get her college visits and prepared to go off to college. And, you know, I'll be an empty nester in a minute, man.
There you go.
Kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do, man.
Yeah, you know what? It's great when it first starts, but you miss that chaos.
It's
you
true,
miss
you
that,
do. Yeah.
The yelling, the screaming, where's this, where's that? It comes.
Really?
Yeah, it does, man.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, listen, I got 4 boys.
I don't know, man.
I got 4 boys. I couldn't wait for them to get out. About 2 weeks into it, I'm like, hey, you guys come home and
It's
just
kinda
like
quiet
fight,
around here,
yell
yeah.
or something, you know, just
Right.
know a couple of blows. Like, come on over, you know.
Yeah.
But then once they get to that certain age, they don't have time for the old man no more.
Oh, yeah.
They only want to come when it's free food. You want to watch a UFC fight, order pizza. Dad, you order pizza and beer? We coming. I ain't seen y'all in 2 months. Y'all just come to eat free food. Boy, y'all
that's
some
it.
dirty mama. Boy, y'all
That's
some
it.
dirty mama.
That's it. That's it. But I don't know, man. I'll see when that time gets here.
You like
know,
coaching? You like coaching the kids?
I do, man. I do. I enjoy watching the kids grow. You know, every once in a while you get a little diamond in the rough, and you know, they do everything right on the field and off the field, but you know, they're still high school kids. So
Yeah.
they're gonna do stupid things. But having the opportunity to go through that with them and see them realize that, okay, maybe that wasn't the brightest decision in the world. And to see them learn and grow from those things,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's kind of cool.
It's got to be cool for them because I know, you know, when I work with kids, you know, to have a pro athlete work with them, and then they find out like, hey, you know, not only do you know what you're talking about, you know how to teach it to them, and then they're able to understand it because we're able to break things down that their coach can't do.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that I have found difficult. Describing, teaching in words that they understand. You know what I mean? Like, you and I can sit here and I can explain a kick step to you and how you get there and how you do it. And I'm pretty sure you'd figure it out.
Yeah.
Explaining it to a high school kid, if you don't put it in the right words,
Yeah, their terms.
Yeah.
they're screwed up.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's me not thinking that I have to go that extra little step in talking to them, or not realizing that I've taught them too much. You know, sitting out there trying to teach a young tackle how to set on a defensive end. And, you know, once we get out of your stance and get your hands up, you know, it's don't duck your head. It's, you know, keep your butt underneath you, keep your feet in the ground, keep your stagger, keep your hands up so that, you know, they're going to run into your hands. At what point in time does it just need to be get out of your stance and get up, stay in front of the guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the ability that we have as being ex-professional athletes, teaching it sometimes is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to figure out where that balance is.
Yeah.
You know, because like when I was coaching in the CBA and we ran the triangle offense that we won all the championships with the Bulls with, you know, there's a lot of verbiage, but there's no play calls. So you run the offense based on how the defense is guarding you. So it's all read and react.
Right.
And to try to teach someone how to read and react when, you know, okay, the ball needs to go over here, but you need to make sure that forward doesn't shoot the gap. If he shoots the gap, where's that ball supposed to go? And everything has to be done instantaneously.
Right.
You can't sit there and go, hold the ball, then, oh, I should go over here. Because now you didn't allow the backside people to react to get to that open guy who's open for a split second. So that's like the hardest thing. So you got to try to break things down to them where they can understand it. And I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, it's a very humbling experience.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you know, this is something we've done at the highest level. I should be able to explain this to you.
Yeah.
And then you hear somebody that has coached the position at all levels, and you listen to them explain it, and you were like, I could have got that done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just sat here for an hour and a half and tried
Yeah.
to explain to you, you know, to step on this 45-degree angle to get this guy blocked. And he just explained it to you in 2 minutes, and you totally got it.
But the coolest thing for you though is to watch them in a game and see that they execute, you know, what you've taught them, and they're having some success at it.
It's fun.
Yeah, they're like your little baby, like clay. Like you mold them into what you want them to be in, and now you're watching the growth of that.
Nothing like a kid coming off the field talking about, Coach, did you see that?
Yeah,
Wide-eyed and happy.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that, man.
That's awesome.
There's nothing
Great
like
to see you still have that love for football and sharing it with young athletes out there. Big Cat Williams, our special guest in studio on the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. We're going to send him home with some Stacey signature sauce. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the play-in game coming up on Wednesday night, the Bulls against the Atlanta Hawks. We had a blast talking with James Big Cat Williams, former Chicago Bears star. Great perspective on what's going on with the current team as well as his work at Lake Forest High School. I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors of the show, our good friend Jeff Vukovich. When it comes to being treated like royalty for all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business, make sure to contact the best in the business, nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. If you're not watching on YouTube, the phone number is on the screen, 847-825-4783. And Stacey's not going to be singing the jingle as often with the season coming to a close, but you got one left in you, don't you?
I do, Mark.
All right, great.
Nationwide is on your side.
Very nicely done, and hopefully you get a chance to do a few more of those. The Bulls have a chance to advance to the regular playoffs if they can win 2 games starting Wednesday at home against the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks are almost like a mirror image of the Bulls. A lot of
Yes.
talent on paper, but it really didn't show on their record.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. They're limping in though. I mean, they're missing a Kongwu's out with an ankle injury. Jalen Johnson, their
Yeah, it was
talented
great.
second-year player who was up for most improved player with Kobe, is out, and so but they got Trae Young back, and you just never know, what Atlanta Hawks team or Chicago Bulls team is
Right.
going to show up. So that's what makes this matchup so interesting, because at the end of the day, someone's got to win. And the team who I feel like the turnovers are down, Bulls can't have 20 turnovers against this team. They're not a very good defensive team. You should not be having 20 turnovers against this team and pound them inside. I thought yesterday in New York, Vooch really made a conscious effort to get the ball inside, and it made a huge difference in the game. Slowed the tempo down, and he dominated. He dominated inside, and I think if he takes this approach in these playing games, I think the Bulls can probably possibly get out of these playing games.
Of course, the Bulls have been playing without Zach LaVine for most of the season, and Patrick Williams has missed the last 2/3 of the year. So the Bulls have been without two starters all season long. So when you look at it, finishing 39 and 43, considering all the injuries and not having Lonzo Ball, of course, the last couple of years, we haven't seen with this team what their potential might be. And one of the things that's really helped them late in the year was our guest on last week's show, Javonte Green. If you missed it, go back and check it out in our library. He's been fantastic. I mean, the energy he provides at 6'4", playing power forward and getting them second chance opportunities. He's been a revelation with this team.
Well, I tell you what, he's had like 11 dunks since he rejoined the team. That's the most dunks we've had in like months. You look at his numbers; he had 24 against the Wizards, 15 points, 8 rebounds against the Magic, and playing a lot of minutes. Considering he didn't play like the first game or two that he came. He didn't get an opportunity to play. Billy went with his guys that had been here all year, and then realized very quickly that you can't teach hustle, you can't teach energy, which that's what Javonte brings to the table. Plays much bigger than he is, and just a warrior out there.
Another big plus for the Bulls is that Kobe White had that little mini slump after he missed a couple of games. He took that hard fall, and he wasn't quite 100%. He looked like his old self. He was really attacking the basket, especially against the Knicks at the Garden on Sunday.
Well, I was really impressed with what he did the Knicks because he only took 3 3-pointers. Okay, and that's not what we're used to seeing Kobe do. But in 43 minutes, he was on the attack. I mean, he was getting to the basket at will. He had 26 points, and he just pretty much dismantled the guards. I mean, yeah, Brunson had a great game, but, they couldn't stop Kobe. And I thought at the end of the game, at some point, and as much as I love DeMar, at some point you got to start letting Kobe be that guy, and let's see what he can do. Give him some reps to try to win a game. Give him an opportunity to try to win a game because, Kobe's going to be here for the next 5-6 years, okay? And he's starting to establish himself as a go-to guy at end of quarters or first, second quarters or end of halves. How about give him the opportunity sometimes and see what he could do? Because you never know. You might need him in a game where he has to hit a game-winning shot, and it'd be nice to see him have those opportunities.
It was interesting watching the game at the Garden. It goes to overtime, and the Knicks really would have been better off losing because now at the 2 seed, they'll probably have to play Philadelphia in that first round. But you know how Tibbs
doesn't
There's
care.
no way Tibbs is going to say off.
Tibbs could care less.
Yeah.
Tibbs wants the number 2s. He wanted. Plus, there was 50 wins on the board.
That's true. Yeah.
So he wants to have 50 wins because that's important to his legacy as a coach. This team, has been up and down since he's been there, and now you got a chance to win 50 games and get to the 2nd seed. When it comes time to contract negotiations, that looks really, really nice when you're talking to your bosses, and so he's very cognizant of that.
We talked about Jalen Brunson on last week's show, and we've had him as a guest on in the past. Again, check our past shows. You can check out our interview with Jalen Brunson. And what he has done as a guy that was a second-round draft pick, came in as a backup to Luka Doncic. Mark Cuban really screwed up letting him get away.
Yeah.
But what a credit to him and the coaches who have worked with him, his dad and the Knicks staff. He is a killer out there. You cannot guard this man.
Well, he's always had a NBA mentality, even at the high school level. I mean, he's been around the NBA game since he was a little boy. He worked out with D Rose in the summertime, so he's played with pros. So when you're in high school and you're a sophomore in high school and you're going up against the MVP in Chicago because you're at their practices during the summertime, you're working out with D Rose, you're working out with guys like Ben Gordon, you're working out with Kirk Heinrichs, you're working out with these guys. your confidence is going to grow as a high school player because you're playing against the best. So then when you go to high school, you've been playing against pro guys, so the high school kids can't mess with you, so your confidence is even more. Then you go to a program like Villanova, which is considered just like, Penn State is linebacker U. Villanova is probably considered where point guards play. They've always turned out really good guards. And to see him drop to the second round when he probably should have been a first-round talent, like Io, it burned him up. He played with a chip on his shoulder, and Dallas took a chance on him. And, he was playing behind J.J. Barea his first year. He didn't get a lot of playing time, but he worked on his game. And he was with Dirk Nowitzki, and he's with Luka, and he's around good people and learned how to be a pro, And so once that happened and he got into the starting lineup, he didn't look back. And then playing alongside Luka, and I think the reason why he's had so much success, Mark, is because early in his career, he could play off the ball. He could be a shooter if you need him to be a scorer. And that's how he was in Dallas. And I think a lot of people didn't look at him as a point guard because he played off Luka, because Luka handled the ball 95% of the time. So he was playing off Luka and did it very, very well. Luka goes out, he goes to point guard position, and the rest is history. I mean, if he doesn't, matter of fact, Luka went out, they were supposed to lose the series, and they end up advancing to the next against Utah. So, he showed that he could be a leader of a team. And I think when Dallas looks at this, looked at it over and over, they had this kid in the building, and you just kind of misinterpreted how much he actually meant to this team because you got Luka. And so you say, oh, he can walk. We can get anybody to fill this position. Well, they got lucky with Kyrie, but it took a couple of years before they got Kyrie to be able to soften that blow of losing Brunson, especially watching him what he's doing in New York. He should be up in MVP voting this year. He won't win. It's going to be Joker, but he will get some votes for MVP for what he's done with the Knicks.
And the Knicks got him on a value contract, I think about $20 million a year.
Ooh, and they thought that was high at first.
Yeah.
I saw something on the internet today. Stephen A. Smith, Nick, whatever his name is, Nick on Fox.
Nick Wright.
Nick Wright. Was Nick wrong? I call him Nick wrong because he's always wrong. But all these guys were bashing, Chris Broussard bashing the Knicks signing Jalen Brunson, said they're going to be disappointed in a couple of years that they wasted all this money on him. He's overpaid. He's not even a top 14, 15 point guard in the league. And now look at him now. He's on the cusp of doing something very good. I personally think they're going to get knocked out in the second round just because I feel like they're going to run into the 76ers. And the 76ers right now are the hottest team in the NBA since Embiid has come back. When Embiid was out, before Embiid went out, Mark, they were number 2 team. They were nipping on the Celtics' heels. He goes out with that knee injury, out for a long period of time. They dropped from like 2 to the play-in rounds.
Right.
Okay. No one knew when Embiid was coming back. Once he came back, they done won like 6 or 7 in a row. They looked like a dominant team. And now all those pieces that got a chance to play and develop those 3 months he was out now are valuable assets. They got valuable experience playing. So now you're going to be looking at a Philadelphia team that's got experience now. Those bigs coming off the bench are experienced bigs. You can rest Embiid. Nick Nurse is a good coach. He, Maxey's just still there. Tobias Harris. You got, Buddy Hield there. They got some really good pieces.
Yeah, that's a potential first-round matchup. The Knicks is the 2 seed, Philadelphia as the 7 if they beat the Miami Heat on Wednesday. Back to the Bulls and Hawks. They played earlier this month. The Hawks won very easily. They had a guy named Vít Krejci came in. But he's not even on the roster because he was a two-way guy, so he's not eligible. But Trae Young coming back, their numbers are actually a lot better without Trae Young in terms of their offensive efficiency and their defensive metrics and all the rest of that stuff. Not to say Trae Young isn't a great player, but it doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to work with him and DeJounte Murray. With Young coming back, do you think this is a team that the Bulls can really exploit in terms of their poor defense?
Yeah, I think they've always had Trae's number. I think Trae's only had like maybe a couple good games in his career against the Bulls. We don't know how what's Io's situation. He missed like the last 3 or 4 games with that thigh contusion. Drummond, is out of the walking boot in New York. We saw him without the walking boot, so that's a good sign. Hopefully he'll be ready to go. But Io does a good job defensively, staying in front of him and really working him. I think that what you're going to see with Trae Young, even though their defense numbers have gone up since he's been back, he's still a threat. He's a guy that you have to account for. He can shoot from half court. He makes Capella relevant. he gives Capella easy buckets. The bigs get easy buckets, rolling to the basket. So he's going to get a high assist total. And at the end of the game, when you look at the pluses or minuses, he may have a lot of minuses, but between the lines, he's got a lot of pluses too.
You mentioned Drummond, and we can't do a show
Oh.
without talking the ultimate Shaqtin' a fool.
Shaqtin'
I
a
mean,
fool.
Torrey Craig, I don't think he realized Drummond was that close to him when he threw it off the board, but the guys on Inside the NBA on Thursday night just lit him up. And then ESPN lit him. I mean, it is a funny play, especially that overhead replay where you can see the look on Torrey Craig's face, like, oh my God, I got this 6 foot, 270-pound guy right behind me.
Okay, so first of all, the number one rule is this, okay? Drummond got the steal. He's the one that popped the ball loose. So when Torrey Craig got it, if you go back and look at the very start of that play, he looked back. And now whether he was looking back at Drummond, whether he was looking back to see if there was a defender behind him, he looked back. So that triggered Drummond to
Drummond
say,
thought it was
okay, so now we're going to set me up for the lob. Okay, I'm running behind you. So as they're going through, I don't even think he knew he was behind him. So he throws the lob up. And to be honest with you, I think he would have missed it anyway because the way he threw it was too high. It was too hard and it was too high. Drummond, Andre comes up behind him, and they all these little memes. The internet's undefeated, Mark.
I know.
So one of the memes, they have him on a roller coaster, and they both got their arms up, and Torrey Craig's eyes look like they're so huge, but they're on a roller coaster. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it was, I even yelled Shaqtin' a fool. I saw Shaqtin' a fool. Shaqtin' a fool. It's the first kid. This is going to be a candidate for Shaqtin' a fool. And it was.
And they mentioned it might be the best one ever.
Yeah, Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame worthy. Because you never see that.
No.
Because when
and
normally.
there's a 3-0
here it is
break.
right here. Here it is right here.
It
Here it is right here. Look.
Yeah.
See, now, I thought it was going to be like, look at Kobe. Look at all the see, I was there. The reaction to everybody was there.
Yeah.
First of all, it was, ooh, the crowd was, ooh, The referee turned, ran by us, was laughing his butt off, just laughing uncontrollably. Kobe threw a tantrum out there, like, I can't believe you all just did this.
Yeah.
And he was looking for the lob. If you go back, run it back again. Oh, we can't? Okay, we can't.
3-0 break.
3-0 break. And we have, speaking of that, like, we had that last night in New York. We had a 3-on-1 break. We went to the 3-point line. We had a 4-on-2 break. We went to the 3-point line.
That's today's NBA.
And I'm telling you, it drives me freaking crazy because as hard as it is for this team to score, to not take advantage sometimes of the easy baskets is very frustrating. You take a 3 on a 4-on-2 break, and if I'm a coach and I go, if we take a 3-point shot with 4-on-2 break, you better hit it. You better knock it down because if you don't, you'll be sitting right over here next to me.
Yeah.
That's a terrible shot in my eyes. I know analytics are, it's a great shot. No, it's not. Because those guys who in analytics are probably guys who never played the game of basketball in their life, except on NBA 2K.
The worst thing about that whole Drummond play was they come back down court on the next defensive possession. He steps on a guy's foot and rolls his ankle. That could be the way his season ends.
Man, I tell you. And he's needed.
Yeah.
He could have been, like, yesterday, I felt like if we had him, we would win that game. And another thing, I was really surprised that they didn't play Sonogo after the big game he had. Billy went with his small lineup because he said, just in case we have to have a small lineup, he was going to use it. He used it in that game, and then we got outscored when that small lineup was in the game. And I just thought Sonogo yesterday should have been rewarded, even though he's not going to be on the playoff roster because he's a two-way player. I think he earned the right to show what he could do the last game of the year after having that big of a game he had the other night. Matter of fact, if he doesn't get that rebound, we lose.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the shout-out on the broadcast Friday. I sent you a text about Henry Drell.
Yeah.
Drell is one of the funniest guys that you'd ever run into. He's from Estonia, but he talks trash like he's from the hood or something.
Yeah.
It's like Glenn Robinson the third, Big Dog's son almost wanted to kill him in a G League game.
Yeah.
They were running down court nose to nose, and Big Dog thought he was nuts because he was talking. Yeah, he's talking.
So we were all caught off guard because he's like, man, this kid's got a lot of energy. Like he's got a little zestiness to him, And then so Mark texts me, he's like, hey, man, he's the biggest trash talker in the G League. And I'm like, what? So then we said it on the broadcast because it made sense.
Yeah.
After you told us that, it made sense because he's talking trash to NBA players. I'm like, all right, slow your roll, big guy. Slow your roll, 2-way contract. But he had a little zestiness about him.
He's a really funny guy, and even though he's from Estonia, his English is perfect, and he wants to be like this media personality. But you got to be able to play on the court before anybody's going to notice what your personality is like.
I tell you what, he did some really good things in the game when he was out there. And just like any of these players, Mark, you need consistency. You need consistent minutes to be a consistent player in this league. You can't go from playing no minutes for a week and then come out and play 18 minutes. You're not going to get production that way. I thought defensively, he did a really good job of moving his feet, blocking. He had like 2 or 3 blocks. They're real long arms,
Yeah.
So he did some really good things that I liked. As if I'm sitting there evaluating him and Sinogo, they're tough kids. They get after you. And I was really impressed with his shot blocking ability. He gets in there and blocks shots. He's got those long arms. He runs the floor. So there's some really good things that the G League is so good for these young players, man. You see them a lot more than we do. So, but it was really good seeing these kids come out there and be able to produce. I mean, we sit our starters down, and then all of a sudden, the coach is going to tell them, hey, you guys, you're getting all the minutes tonight.
Right.
You can imagine what they felt like, oh my God, I'm going to get to play. Or they probably start texting people, hey, watch the game tonight. I'm going to play tonight, So I was happy for those guys, especially getting the win in Washington. That was huge for them.
Of course, the play-in games get things started this week. The Lakers are playing the Pelicans, and a lot of people on the national media are suggesting they should tank so they don't have to play Denver in the first round.
That's what they're going to do.
Think so?
They're going to do that. They're going to lose. I don't think they're going to tank. I just think New Orleans is better in that situation because they're the home team, I think. And I just think New Orleans is better.
They just played in New Orleans on Sunday.
Because you never know how that game was, though.
Yeah.
They could have said, "Oh, well, let's not play this guy down." Play. You don't know how the dynamics of that game was. But on a consistent basis, like in this situation, I think the Pelicans are better because they get the home court advantage. And I don't think the Lakers want to play the Nuggets. So they feel if you go back, put that back. So then they'll get the winner.
But you're taking a risk,
Kings.
though. You got to play either the Kings or the Warriors.
They feel they can beat.
All.
Let me tell you something. They feel they can beat any of those teams. They feel they can beat any of those teams, and then you get into look at the brackets you're going to get into. Now let's say you become the 8th seed. You play the Thunder in the first round. That could be a huge upset for the Lakers. Lakers could beat them. The Lakers are constructed for the playoffs. They're not constructed for the regular season. So they're going to be a totally different team than what we saw in the regular season. Okay, so they got length, size. I don't know if Darvin Ham can get the job done. I'm not a big Darvin Ham fan. I think some of his coaching, substitutions are crazy. But they have enough talent to beat anybody in the Western Conference with the exception of Denver. I don't think they can beat Denver because Joker's a whole different animal. But I think they can beat Oklahoma City because Oklahoma City's young. And it's like, will the lights be too bright for them now that they're the number 1 seed? They are now the hunted, not the hunter. They're the being hunted. So will they be able to withstand the lights? And there's a lot of energy that comes with LeBron James. A lot of TV, a lot of lights coming. And, Chet Holmgren, are those guys going to be able to withstand that kind of pressure? I don't think so.
Can anybody challenge Boston in the East?
Yeah, Philadelphia. Philadelphia is my pick to come out of the East now. And I said it was if Embiid was healthy, I believe they can. Now, when you look at the matchups, Cavaliers Magic, that's going to be a good series. I think the Magic's going to win that. I think their length is going to cause the Cavaliers some problems.
Yeah, they have a lot of injuries late in the year.
And I see the Bucks beating the Pacers. It won't be an easy series for Milwaukee because they're not playing good. They're not playing good at all. So the Pacers could win that series. So the Bucks are going to have to really play extremely well. And then you see the Knicks at the number 2 seed. They're going to possibly I see the Heat losing to the 76ers. Okay, so that's going to put the 76ers at the 7th seed.
Yep.
They're going to play the Knicks, and they're going to beat the Knicks in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to look like the Knicks had a terrible season. They got beat in the first round.
Just a bad draw.
That's not a typical 7 seed right there.
Right.
That's a typical 1, 2, 3 seed, okay, that got all healthy at the right times. That's going to be tough for the Knicks. And then you got Miami, you got Hawks and Bulls. The Bulls should win this game. The Bulls should win this game at home.
But you never know.
You never know. You never know.
You
never know. They should win this game and then have to play Miami in Miami, which is going to be a tough game. But last year they went to Miami, they should have won. They had the lead, they should have won. And then they took Andre Drummond out and took Kobe out, and they ended up losing the game. So this year, maybe hopefully it doesn't, repeat itself. Play the guys that need to be played. Forget people's feelings. If guys ain't playing hard, hustle and sit them down because it's one and done. We ain't got time to be worrying about people's feelings. If you ain't playing hard, you ain't hustling, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, that comes to down.
We are bringing you this week's episode on a Monday evening. We're recording for our podcast, and it's also the night of the WNBA draft. No
Woo!
surprise, Caitlin Clark is the number one pick of the Indiana Fever. She's actually dating one of the sons of Iowa basketball coach Fran McCaffrey, who works for the Indiana Pacers. So she'll get a chance to be with her boyfriend in Indiana, and they've already jacked up ticket prices through the roof for next season.
Crooks.
For this upcoming season, I should
Crooks.
say.
Trying to ride the wave.
She's going to
Yeah.
be on national TV just about every game.
Oh, she's gonna elevate.
And
She's
they're
gonna
gonna
elevate.
fill that arena.
That class, all those girls that are coming in from this class, and then you got Paige Beckers who will come in next year. They're gonna have to readjust the pay scale. They are.
Oh,
They're gonna have to.
They're paid next to
Yeah,
nothing.
they're getting paid because she's gonna bring in TV revenue now.
Mhm.
People want, because after the NCAA tournament and Fox and all these people saw how much the women's game generated the attendance and viewers, they're going to get TV revenue now, which they never had.
She was on Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you saw the clip. She was on the news segment with Michael Che.
Yeah.
And they ran some clips of him making fun of the WNBA.
Yeah.
And she went back at him. It was really funny. It was well written sketch.
She's gonna elevate it, and they're gonna get TV rights, and they're gonna have to pay these players more money. They're gonna have to get these girls charter planes. They're gonna have to do a lot of stuff they didn't want to do.
And if you're curious about what happened with the Chicago Sky, the local
Sky.
team, they had a very star-studded team a couple of years ago in the championship, led by Candace Parker, of course. But this year, they had two of the top 7 picks. With the third pick, they took Camila Cardoso from the national champion South Carolina team, 6'7" center. And then they got Angel Reese at 7, of course, had the famous dust-up with Caitlin in last year's NCAA tournament. And she's an interesting character because off the court, she's like a fashion model. But on the court, she's kind of down and dirty and nasty.
Well, let me tell you something. She's going to have to make a choice, though, because, that flies in college. You get to be a professional. You got to come up here and be professional, and she's got to work on her game. I thought she took a step back this year as far as her offensive game was concerned. I thought she was better the year before when they won the national championship. And a lot of that is attributed to, all the stuff that's going on off the court for her. She got all these NIL deals and these endorsements, and that took precedent over basketball. And you could tell that her offensive game was not the same as it was the year before. So she's gonna have to focus on basketball. You can do all the other stuff off the court, but you come here and playing in the pro level, you got to come and bring it every single night. They got Cardoso's the big girl. She's a stud. You 6'8" can block shots, rim protector, can score, can shoot, 18, 20-foot shots. And it's funny because both those two girls, Reese and her, got into it in the SEC tournament. That's what started girls getting suspended, in that game. So it's interesting now they're teammates.
Now they're teammates. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Chicago Sky does with a very young team. They traded their star, Kalia Copper, to get an additional first-round draft pick. They got a new coach, and they're starting a whole new program there. So it'll be interesting to follow the Sky, and Caitlin Cooper is going to bring, Caitlin is going to bring Clark is going to bring a lot of attention to the WNBA this summer. What else you want to talk about, Stace? Got anything else here on the rundown you want to talk about?
What are we watching?
Got anything new?
I'm watching Marco Polo on Netflix.
What do you think?
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It's
You're really into the history. Yeah.
I love history, man. And one of the few things that Whispers said, he told me too, The Gentleman was good.
Yeah.
And then he told me to watch Marco Polo. So I started watching Marco Polo. Very good. It's the grandson of Genghis Khan and the Mongolians who pretty much dominated the world. And, Marco Polo is like kind of sold to them from his father, and he ends up learning the ways of the Mongolian people. He's trusted by the Khans, and just a really, really good story.
Yeah, and I got some breaking news for you. We got the sounder. Da, da, da,
Da,
da.
da, da, da.
Now, I don't know well, it's not accurate, but there was a report tonight from Jeff Agrest, who's a really good media columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times, saying that the White Sox, Bulls, and Blackhawks are nearing a deal to make Stadium their new home after their contract with NBC Sports Chicago expires. That is big news, if it turns out to be true. Because Jerry Reinsdorf was involved in the startup of Stadium. And, it's a whole different service. It might be a direct-to-consumer type of venture. It's going to be very interesting to see how this news develops in the coming weeks and months.
Ooh, yeah, that's that's news to me. I'd heard about it being discussed, but I didn't know how far how far it was into development because
Yeah.
you got the Cubs and with marquee, they got their little marquee thing, and you got the Bulls, the White Sox, and the Blackhawks.
Right.
Three big organizations going to possibly maybe going to one thing.
Well, Stacey and I both have a lot of great friends at NBC Sports Chicago, so we hope that those people can be moved over when if Stadium takes over the program.
Yeah, especially on the basketball side of it. I can't speak for hockey or baseball, but for the basketball side, the people that work behind the scenes, the Mark Brady's, the Tamara Andersons, or Russell Anderson, all these guys are really good people. We've been working with them for like double-digit years, and we got a good rapport with these guys, and so it's just like you don't want anybody to lose their job.
I tell you what, the way streaming is taking over sports, a lot of organizations are even going back to running some of their games over free TV. Phoenix Suns have done that this past year. It's just a different media landscape out there, and all these teams are trying to figure out a way to maximize revenue. We'll be following this story in the coming weeks, but that is breaking news on a Monday evening from Jeff Agrest of the Chicago Sun-Times, and it will definitely change the way people consume all three of those teams if that's the way things turn out. So we want to thank James Big Cat Williams for coming in. Nice of him to make the drive from Lake Forest to join us here in the Sriracha studios. I want to thank D. Cisco for doing a great job as always. And if you're wondering where Whispers is, where is he, in Denmark? Sweden, yeah. So
talked to him this morning. I called him at 11 o'clock. It was like nighttime there. He was out having dinner. And
these are high-level business meetings he's involved with?
High-level meetings. And so he said, told me to tell you what's up. He'll be back shortly.
All right, we'll see. We have another couple of shows without Whispers, but we'll keep trudging on, do the best we can without our red-headed friend.
We're going to put a cutout here next time with Whispers over here on the side, or a blow-up doll with red hair, red face.
And again, we should tell the folks how they can get their very own bottle of the signature hot sauce. We don't want to miss that opportunity.
Yes. Listen, America, it's about time for the barbecues and all the outside grilling. Make sure you go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com and buy your hot sauce from there. Or you can go to your local Jewel and find it on shelf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever shelves they are, you'll be able to find it. Make sure you get a bottle. I'm telling you, it'll be the best hot sauce you've ever tasted, and it goes with everything. We got 4 bottles there. You see them right there, those beautiful bottles. Look how bright the colors are. They're so beautiful. They look like Christmas bulbs. Look how beautiful they are. So make sure you go down there and get yourself a bottle. The St. Pat's Verde, the green, is one of my favorites. The barbecue sauce. Matter of fact, on the plane, I passed some out to the players.
Yeah.
And oh my God, they went crazy for it.
Nice.
Yeah, because I at the end of the year, I try to give like all the security guards some gift, whether it be cologne or a bottle of wine or something. Yeah. So this year I decided to give everybody the hot sauce because they've been asking for it. So I passed out, 100 bottles of my hot sauce to people. I've been getting texts all day like, oh my God, this is the best hot sauce I've ever tasted. Oh my God, I'm buying it at Jewel now, da-da-da. So thanks to all those people I gave it to, and they all like it. They all like it. DeMar DeRozan, I gave him a bottle, and he got on the plane. He's like, man, that was fire. He's like, and then he goes, I said, didn't we give you your hot sauce because he was a guest?
Yes.
And he goes, no, I never received it. I'm like, oh, the Packer.
Whisper strikes Packer. Again.
Wow, we got to talk to the hot sauce Packer. We can't be stiffing our guests, man. So, but the good thing, Big Cat came in studio today. He got his hot sauce.
And he walked out with a big smile on his face with a 4-pack of Stacey's hot sauce. And Caesar from Windy City is here today. Getting ready to give you a ride home.
Caesar's about 2'6".
The best.
He's a little midget. He's a little guy. He sits on phone books in a limo. Hey, Windy City Limo provides championship service. Making reservation is easy. It's a slam dunk. Let Caesar from Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination while he sits on the phone book in style and on time. Contact Windy City at 847-916-9300 or contact Caesar at IHaveLittleLegs.com.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I got him. I text Caesar.
The guy.
No, wait, America. The reason why I go at Caesar, because Caesar is a smart ass. Caesar attacks me every day in the car. And the people, I have friends, we're in the car. He's just roasting me. It's a constant roast. So what better way to get his little ass today? We're going to go see King Kong. We'll go see King Kong that night, right? He goes, I didn't know you had a movie out.
Oh.
I was like, wow, that was racist. That was racist. Okay? So today, he goes, I'm going to go, I can't wait to go see my movie. And I'm like, what movie? He's like, talking about the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, he looked like a little monkey. He looked like a little Caesar, okay? So this is America. This is what I got to deal with from Caesar, okay? You know, I didn't have to deal with Mike like this. Mike didn't treat me this way. Caesar is just, he just abuses me. So this is my chance to get Caesar back on my show, and he can't say nothing and can't defend himself. So there's Caesar. How you like that?
Caesar is literally 20 feet away.
Yeah, he's 20 feet away, but he's only 2 feet tall, baby. He's a little man. He's a little man. I'm telling you, he rides a pony to work.
Well, on that charitable note, time to bring down the curtain on another episode of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. I think Tim didn't pay the air conditioning bill on his way
No,
out.
it's hot as hell in here. Hey, I thought Big Cat was a candle. He was over here melting. A big fella, get some air.
10 pounds just doing the show.
A big fella, get some air for the big fella, baby. He was already sweating. I'm like, damn. He was making me hot. I was like, damn. That reminded me of the night. Oh, America. Let me tell you, we're in the Ritz-Carlton. We're in Ritz-Carlton the other night, right? 5-star hotel, Ritz-Carlton.
Only
nice.
the best,
in D.C., okay? Right down the street from the White House, okay? Wake up. We got in at about 2 a.m. It was hot when I got in my room, so I hit the air conditioning. No cool air is really blowing out. It's like almost like regular fan air, you know? So I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. So get in the bed. And I have to have my room cold. I don't know how many people in America, how many you got to have your room cold, but I got to have my room cold to go to sleep. Wake up about 4:30 in the morning. Just sweltering, hot, feeling like Frosty the Snowman in Vegas at a pool party. I'm over here just sweating. I'm thinking I'm sick. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sick. You know, I go to the bathroom, get some cold water on my face, and I realize it's the room. So I go and look at the temperature, 85 degrees in the room.
Oh, man.
So I call downstairs. I say, excuse me, can you send somebody up to fix this air conditioner? It's not working. Like, what's wrong with it? Well, obviously something's wrong with it. I'm sweating. It's 85 degrees. Did you turn on the air? I said, look, lady, I stay in hotels all the time. I know how to control the thermostat. Just send somebody up here before you all have to find me. I might be dead. I'll be melted like water puddle, like Frosty the Snowman. So they send a guy up. He's in the room probably 45 minutes, 50 minutes. He's taking off the roof. He's taking off the ceiling. He's in there. And I just said, can we just get a fan? Just give me a fan. I'll be cool with the fan. That's all I needed. We waste almost an hour with him trying to fix the thing. Didn't realize it's like he can't fix it. He can't fix it. Now we waited a whole hour. Now I've asked for a fan an hour ago. So they finally bring me a fan in. I didn't go to bed, Mark. We had a back-to-back game because we had to play Detroit and Washington. So I didn't go to bed till almost 8 o'clock in the morning. And we had a game that night. And I listen, man, it was the hardest thing. I had no energy. I had 5 hour energy didn't work. I needed 10. It didn't work. And I was just like, and then the people at the front desk were like kind of mean when you ask them for a fan. It's like, if you get your rooms fixed, you wouldn't have to ask for a fan. I said, I had to get kind of, and I put memes on the internet. So I put memes on the internet. So, hey, what are you laughing at?
So until then, for Stacey and the crew, so long, everybody.
Drive home safely, BB.
Oh my goodness! It's only preseason, but I'm hyped. He'll fuck. Gimme buckets gets buckets. Oh my goodness! Give me the hot sauce.